We got another friend on the show, D.
We do. I'm very excited. Very excited.
A very good friend who we actually went over and saw him. How long ago was it now?
Just over a year. Yeah.
Over in the UK. Bailey Wright. Welcome, mate. Welcome back.
How are we, guys? Nice to be back. Long time no see. Some good memories of our little catch up and trip in the UK, but no, good to see both your heads again.
You too, mate.
Mate, we're very excited. Well, we thought we'd actually start with that trip to the UK. So we were there in January last year. Our intention was the number one thing was we wanted to see you play. And unfortunately, I think you got yourself injured, maybe a hamstring or something. But we spent a bit of time with you. But what are your memories of our time together?
I think you know where this one's going. No, it was I was injured actually. I think I had a little calf injury, which was frustrating. So he's have to come back over and
Yeah.
come see a game. And all now I'll be at a new club now for the time being. But good memories of I think went for a few beers. You boys didn't really actually have a beer actually. He's all well
I,
behaved.
I did. D didn't. Yeah.
D can't handle the beer is what we found out actually.
yeah. Yeah, basically.
Nah, but we went out for a nice little meal. It was nice. And then you boys got a bit ill, if I
Oh,
recall rightly.
yeah.
I don't know if he's remember what happened there.
Yeah, well, basically that was so frustrating, right? Because Bailey's been over in the UK for, bloody well, how many years? Is it closer to 15 years? Like,
Oh, how old am I now? I'm 30. I moved here when I was 16. So
yeah, so
yeah,
14 years,
31. Yeah,
probably.
14, nearly 15
Yeah,
years.
14 years. So you've been over there that whole time. I reckon every year I've always said, to the fam, and with your parents as well, oh, we're gonna go over and see Bailey play one year. We're gonna go over and see him play one year. Finally, I've, have the ball was me and D, like, let's go over, let's go. We catch up with Bailey's parents, Jeanette and Andy are there as well. And um basically we go out for dinner. Bailey, Alex, his wife, Koa, his daughter, his parents were all out for dinner. And it's a beautiful night. And then Bailey goes, all right, tomorrow night we're going to catch up again. It'd be good to catch up again. Come over to my place and I'll cook you dinner. And then we get back to the hotel room and D just starts like, and this is, we're sharing a bed, mind you, Bales, because, we're on a budget traveling. So, we're sharing a nice big king double or something like that. And D's feeling a bit hot flushes, weren't you?
Yeah, Well, I just woke up in the middle of the night, about 2 in the morning, and I just had to. I was so cold, so I'm like, I'm just gonna run a bath, and I'm like, it was steaming this bath, and I sat there for about 4 hours. Finally felt better. Went back to sleep. Woke up, and it was fine.
And then we obviously have to let Bailey know. We're like, hey, mate, just letting you know, D's been feeling a bit crook. So Bailey he's obviously has precautions with the club and COVID and whatever else. And I think we did a test and we didn't get a test yet. What happened?
We couldn't get a test. They were so rare in England.
So they were sold out everywhere, weren't they, Bailey?
Yeah, they were like gold dust, mate. Hard to get hold of.
Gold dust. Well, you obviously had access through the club because you have to do the tests every day. And you just said, boys, I'll get you a couple of tests. I think you had like a heap at home. And he goes, I'll come and drop them off to you. You were so nice. And you drove out to us. We're staying in the center of the Durham town, the town of Durham, I should say. And I'm thinking Bailey might just park the car up and walk over, knock on the hotel door, and hand it. But we walk outside, and Bailey he's whizzing past in his car, pulls up, mouth over the face, chucks the test out. There you go, boys. And we both tested positive.
And then we had to, come back, 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
But that was horrible, mate. It was.
We still managed to still do a dinner, didn't we? I know
did.
you boys were just doing anything to avoid my cooking that night. You knew you were going to be in for some food poisoning. But I'll just get COVID instead.
Yeah.
But
it worked out well, mate. We got to try the classic English fish and chips, which was nice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did. We had fish and chips. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was good. And then obviously DOS losing stuff. What was that?
Well, basically, we wanted to bring this up too, and every listener of the DOS and D show knows DOS's inability to actually hold on to any of his items. And traveling with him is just a new, story. And we were only there a week, and I think I was telling you, Bailey, I'm like, he's already lost, this. He nearly lost his wallet on the plane. He's lost this pair of shoes, this jumper, this t-shirt. And I said, he'll just keep losing stuff. And then what happened that night, Bailey? Do you remember when we left the restaurant?
Walked straight out, and he was like, "Oh, I think I don't know what you forgot. It was a hat
Yeah.
or a jacket or something like that. All of it just like that. Typical."
I think it was a jumper, mate. I think it was a jumper. Oh God. Anyway, well, that was a great time. We'll talk about yesterday. We're really going to try and get back over. But mate, you've had a massive year since between then and now as well. You know, you were at Sunderland. You still are. You know, you're owned by Sunderland, but you just recently, you know, you had some big news. You want to share that the loan out to Rotherham?
Yeah, a lot's happened, I guess, since you boys were over, or since I was last on the pod. I think January, if it was, you know, if we had a manager then when you boys were here at Sunderland, we had a manager change, new manager come in. So it was always, you know, kind of typical football environment, things always changing. And now, yeah, obviously things went really well with Sunderland. We ended the season getting promoted with winning at Wembley in the playoffs, which was incredible. And then I guess I got worked my way back into international setup, and had an incredible summer there, incredible experience with qualifying for the World Cup. And then, yeah, just kicked off a championship campaign with Sunderland, which, you know, was a great buzz as well to be, you know, back in that league with Sunderland. But for me, my time was a little bit limited. I wasn't really starting games as much as I'd like, for various reasons. I think, you know, I always respect lads ahead of me in my position, and they were great professionals and great players and really good lads, and they were ahead of me. And sometimes you just got to see the situation for what it is. And yeah, so January come around and the opportunity was, you know, Rotherham offered me the opportunity to come here and enjoy my football here, push for a place in this team, and you know, be part of a team that's staying in the championship. So it was a no-brainer for me. To, you know, I'm a competitor every day in training. I want to win. So when you don't get that, I guess, that carrot on a Saturday of going out and competing and winning, you feel a little bit empty. You feel frustrated, and you're just training, and ultimately you just want to go out there and win games of football and leave it all out there. And I wasn't getting that as much as I'd like, although I still played a good few games for Sunderland. Rotherham offered me that chance, and so far I've really enjoyed it. I've had, I guess, a stop-start loan. I didn't get off to a great start in my debut with getting knocked out, but no, the club's been brilliant with me. Great group of lads, great staff, and you know, I feel like we've got a bit of momentum behind us and doing something good here. So to be part of that has been great.
Well, if you could lose this weekend, that'd be very much appreciated from a QPR fan.
Yeah, you're QPR, isn't it?
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about deadline day and how much say does a player actually get? So in your case, you mentioned that you had multiple options to potentially go to. How does it work? Do you get a call and say, look, this is where you're going? Or do you actually get a lot of say? Do you interact with clubs and managers? Or is it just very much until the deal is done, you don't really know?
No, I guess it depends case for case. Ultimately, you know, when you have a contract at a club, it's, you know, if you don't want to go anywhere, you don't want to go anywhere. You can stay, and you know, you as a player have a contract honor with the club, and the club have a contract honor with you. So both parties have a equal say, I guess. And mutual ground is, you know, needs to be found. But for me, it was really quite smooth, to be honest. The club Sunderland were transparent with me. Were quite open and honest throughout, from, you know, the top down. You know, the sporting director, the gaffer was open, honest, and said, sort of, you know, at the time I was playing in the team, but there was a few boys injured, and I guess in the back of my mind I wondered, you know, when them boys were back fit, would I still be given the chance to play? And I was doing well. I did well in the team, and you know, I've got quite an honest assessment of myself when I play, and I'm my own worst critic, and I felt like I was doing well and maybe warranted a place to keep the shirt. But I knew that the players come back in were good players too, and also before they were injured did really well. So I guess when the club said this is what the situation was, that when them boys are back fit, your game time could be and probably will be very limited, and you know that the club's moving in a direction where they've got a really good core of young, talented players who need to keep developing and playing games. And, you know, I'm not getting any younger. I like to think I've still got plenty of years left for sure. I've got a lot of ambitions to fill, but the club were honest with me. And I guess sometimes it's not what you want to hear. But it's what you need to hear. And I know a lot of times football clubs don't tell that to the players. They might, fill them with stuff that makes them feel good at the time, but isn't necessarily the right thing or correct thing for them. In my case, Sunderland were open and honest. They said if opportunity for me come about to go on loan, that they'd be open to listening to it if they were happy with it and I was happy with it. Obviously, they have to agree with the club, and I have to agree with the club I go to. But if it wasn't right, it wasn't right, and I was more than welcome to stay. But yeah, I guess I probably wouldn't play as many minutes as I would like. And I guess the club were open and honest in that out loud in media, and I think fans knew as well. I wasn't a player that was throwing my toys at the pram and like that to get out. I loved my time at the club. Still am a Sunderland player, but when Rotherham gave me the opportunity and they said they want to bring me on loan and would like to bring me in to compete for places at the back, then I straight away thought that was the right one for me. In terms of family life balance as well, championship football, good club, good manager, good players, good staff, and a good fan base. So yeah, I had other options, and look, it wasn't easy to say no to some, and there's various other things going on. But yeah, a lot of my decision was around what was right for me and my family too, but also that I needed, my wife and kids know that I need to play on a Saturday. I need that fire in the belly. I need that on a Saturday, and I've been managed to do both. I can be home and still get that. So it's been great, and it's worked really well. So now I just need to make sure I perform on the pitch and can do well for Rotherham, and then it's then from I guess my point of view, it's been a successful loan, but there's still a lot of work to do.
It's funny, the family life and the family dynamic, how quickly it changes. Like for Alex and the girls, quickly, like you go from 15, 20 minutes up the road to Stadium at Light or the training facility to now how long is the travel and the commute to Rotherham now every day?
Yeah, I was 20 minutes, half an hour away when I lived obviously closer to Sunderland, and now it's more like 2-hour drive in the morning and 2-hour drive home. And I guess that's a balance.
Great opportunity to listen to Dos and D on the way there and back.
Yeah, exactly right. It's do you know what? A 2-hour drive is nice. It's you time in the car, listen to a podcast, you get up early, you have your coffee before you know you're training, and it's been completely fine. I'm in a hotel now, as you can see, so I don't do it every day. I try to keep the balance and look after the body as best as I can as well. But yeah, I guess when it is a loan and it is I guess to the end of the season, it is short term. And when you've got kids, it's not, you don't want to just up them, move them. Like I said, like you've said there, football, I guess it's unique in many ways and makes it special. But, I guess within 24 hours, you can move and be applying your trade elsewhere. And many other industries, I guess you have time to finish your job and move into a new job. Football moves fast. It's what you love about it, but it's also, difficult for family balance. But we've managed really well. I'm lucky, got an incredible wife who looks after our two girls when I'm not there. And, it's a handful having two girls under two, even when we're both home, but it's the best. And so, yeah, I'm lucky to be able to have both, which is great.
Yeah, it's awesome, and we love your family. You're very beautiful, and the dog's Dennis is doing all right too. Just quickly.
Yeah, Dennis is still going good. He's getting old now. He's getting a little bit blind. Poor bugger.
Yeah, we love.
Bites your hand off when you're trying to give him a treat. Doesn't know what he's grabbing, but no, he's still in good nick. He's doing well good for a bulldog. He's still fit and healthy, but yeah, he's bless him. He's getting on a little bit.
We love him. Can you just quickly before we kind of move on, just with the loan stuff, because you've obviously played for many years and you know what it's like being on the other side when new players come in and they might be there for 4, 5, 6 months. What's the general consensus around? I know you said the Rotherham guys are really good, the club's really good, but is it difficult? I'm talking more generically, but is it difficult as a player to accept guys coming in for a short period of time? And how did you feel coming in to almost try and say to the boys, look, I'm here and I'm committed to you guys?
Good question. I think the game's evolved a lot from what it used to be when loan players used to come in. I think the old school mentality of make them feel an outsider doesn't really happen anymore. I think in football is pretty good. It's come a long way. The culture's I mean, I can't say I wasn't in football before I was in football. So,
Mm.
but from my experiences, um, I've been lucky throughout my career. I've been in a good dressing room ever. I've been full of good professionals from when I was that young Aussie kid coming into the club at Preston North End. I felt welcome from senior pros then to everyone at the club. And I guess it's, you got to earn the respect, and you earn the respect by showing your commitment, not just saying you're committed. You do that by, buying into the culture, respecting the environment and the rules of what you're in, and just showing everyone respect and dignity, and I guess that earns you respect as well. And I'm 30 years old now. I like to think I'm pretty experienced in the game. So when you go into a dressing room, a lot of the players you've played against, or you might know a few, or you've had a bit of beef with each other on the pitch. So it's a bit of a laugh when you bump into each other. But no, I think I guess as a senior player, when I've seen lads come in on loan at clubs I'm fully signed at, I think you treat every single one of them for who they are slightly differently. And I mean that in a good way. I think you get young lads that are getting their first taste of men's football, which sometimes probably need a little bit more patience and a little bit less of telling, more of asking if they're okay, or what do they think of this, or why did they do that, or this is how we operate here. These are the expectations. And then with senior lads, it's more a case of allowing them to do what they think's right for them. So you're part of educating young lads, and then also allowing individuals to be themselves. So there's a balance, and it's not just players on loan; it's young boys, coming over from different countries. Football's so diverse now. The dressing room, it's incredible to learn off so many different people from different backgrounds, from different styles of football, coming from different cultures, different languages. It really is an opportunity to learn. So I think, I guess I've gone in, I've got my own motivations for going to Rotherham, and I guess it's, ultimately I want to be out there winning games of football, whether that's on the pitch or not. Obviously, I want to play like everyone does, and I respect people in my position. And I think if I want respect, I've got to show them respect. And I think that's just a given in any environment you go into for young lads, senior lads, is respecting where you're coming into, learning the ropes, and slowly maybe adding your experiences and value to the group.
I'd love to go to the playoff final. That was amazing. I remember where I was. I was in. I was out. My girlfriend's got a van. We were on a family little weekend away. We are in the back of the van. We had the projector set up. It was shining on the van, and unfortunately the Wi-Fi was pretty poor, so it kept buffering, which was pretty shit. But that was massive, and that's your second. That's your second playoff win at Wembley. I mean, you had that one a few years ago with Preston, which was a massive deal for you. I remember talking about that with you when we were over there, because we were having a laugh around our good friend Jeff Smale. But
Yeah, old Jeffy.
but this one, it just seemed, I don't know, it didn't seem different, but it just seemed massive. Sunderland's such a huge club. They've been, Premier League club with such a proud and rich history forever. And within the space of 3 seasons, they went from Premier League to Championship to League One. And then you come in, they went close, but didn't get promoted. Then again, they had another crack at it, and they got it. And Wickham, we've got good friends who go for Wickham. They were pretty distraught, but we were wrapped. So, mate, tell us how that was. And were the rumors true? Did they fly you in for that on the helicopter? Or was there something about this that tell us, because you were unwell also, weren't you?
Yeah, Alex, my wife, food poisoned me.
Oh no.
On the Thursday, and I was sick as a dog. I think it was food poisoning, because it was like, well, yeah, I had a fever. I was throwing up all over the place. But yeah, my preparation led into Wembley was not ideal at all. But I guess the whole lead up in the months before, as us as a club, I think from when we appointed Alex Neil as manager, I think he lost one game.
Wow.
That once he came in the door, we just went on an absolute, it was like a steam train coming through, and you could feel it, the belief, the momentum of the club, the fan base. And I guess it was massive for numerous reasons. When you're at Sunderland, you feel you kind of understand, you have to get to know why the fans are the way they are, and why they're so passionate, and what they've been through and like how much the club means to them. And you can see they've had the lows, they've had the crap, they've had, just the frustrations of going to watch their team on a Saturday and Tuesday and feeling low. And, that low sticks with them all week. So to be part of the group that was giving them highs after high after high, but ultimately all that mattered was if you got promoted at Wembley. This was life or death to them. And like that's what the football club means. It's incredible. The support of 35,000 sort of average of every home game, even in League One, is just crazy. Like it's ridiculous. And then the following we had at Wembley was just. I remember we walked out, stood there, and it was like I can't even remember what song was about to get played. I can't even remember the bit that happened just afterwards. All I remember is we stood there, and then all you could hear was just Sunderland fans just drowned out the whole of Wickham. The whole stadium was just Sunderland, and it was like everyone just stopped and like everything just went in slow motion. It was just like taking in the whole occasion of what we're about to do. And it was like, oh, we're winning this. There's no way we're not winning this. I remember it's the first time ever in my life I felt like I was getting a tear. Like I felt really emotional before the game was about to kick off. I've never had that before. I'm focused, but I've never had that where I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. Like, look at this. There was like kangaroos bouncing around everywhere and Aussie flags, and that was incredible. Like the support I've had felt from that club and all us boys, and to be able to give them that day made it all worth it. The tough times, I guess, the odd times of getting booed off or losing, or the high expectations that the club has. It's a privilege to go somewhere like that where there's pressure on every single game. There's an expectation on every single game. You don't get that at many clubs to that level, and it can be really difficult. It demands a lot of you, but God, when you get it right and you get to experience that, it's like no other. And I nearly thought for a moment there that it wasn't really going to happen for me when I woke up on 3 a.m. on Thursday morning and I was thrown up everywhere and I was shivering, had the shivers, couldn't get out of bed. I literally just went completely weak. And I remember messaging the physio and doctor, I think, and I'm just like, I'm not in a good way here. And it was like, right, just stay hydrated, eat when you can, and we'll see. I was like, I'm coming in Friday. I need to do something Friday. So the whole Thursday was them coming up with a plan in case I had gastro or something like that, because obviously didn't want anyone else in the group to get this because I was hanging. I was literally in bed all day. It's probably on the illest I've ever felt. So then the gaffer...
Was it coming out of both ends?
It was coming out of everywhere. I was in a pickle, mate. And then obviously I had a few phone calls with the gaffer and sporting director, Christian, and everyone at the club. And Alex Neil, obviously the gaffer, called me. He's like, right, trying to come up with a plan to get you down to Wembley without getting everyone ill, but also like it's a decent old trip because we're playing Saturday. She said, how do you feel about a helicopter? And I was like, Jesus Christ, never been on a helicopter. I don't mind flying, but helicopters scare the shit out of me. And I thought, what is the best thing? He's like, look, we can get you a car. Obviously, all the boys were flying down to London. Get you a car, but obviously London traffic, you just don't know what that journey can be from Sunderland to thingy. It's not ideal, but is what it is. Or we can get your helicopter and get you there, and I think it was like an hour and a half or something like that. So I was like, who's sorting this helicopter out? But the club, fairness to them, they obviously wanted to make sure that I could feel my best going into that game. I'd played every single minute under Alex Neil, and it was going to take a lot to keep me out of Wembley. I was never going to not be there, no way. So yeah, they said, yeah, sent me the details. This helicopter. So actually, rewind a little bit. Friday, I come in. I was feeling better Friday morning. Still hadn't really eaten, to be honest, but I was feeling a lot better as you start to do. And so I went into training, and I wasn't allowed in the building. So they brought the stuff out to my car. I'm getting changed in the car. I literally walked straight in the pitches. Did like a little bit of the session. Didn't go near any of the lads really. Like kept the distance, and then did set pieces. And then that was it. I went to go like tell the kit man where I wanted my boots. They're like, "Don't you dare go in this building." I was like, "I need like." I'm. For those who know me, I wouldn't say it's superstition, but I'm very routine. Like I like to do the right things all the time. If I don't tick the boxes and I don't feel like I'm doing the right things, I'll feel like I've cheated myself and not given myself the best chance to perform. And that's how like my routine was out of whack. And I'm like, whoa, it's like, right, what's the next best thing I can do that's in my control? Like that's how I prepare for everything. I've always been like that every day for training, every day for games. And I hope it gives me longevity in my career. So everything was out of whack. So then, right, Friday I'm driving home, I get home, and then I get sent the details. Right, helicopter's getting you at 2 o'clock or something in the afternoon from this golf course around the corner from my house. And I was like, well, I'm just turn up at a golf course and jump on a helicopter. I was like, felt weird. So I pulled up the golf course and they're like expecting me. They've shut down the golf driving range and they've cut a big helicopter circle in the middle of the golf driving range, like for the helicopter to land there. Helicopters landed, jumped on it. And the whole way there, I'm like holding on, sweating, hour and a half to Wembley. And it was actually a really nice day, nice journey. But I still was just thinking, that stops. It's just dropping. It's not, I just couldn't get that out of my head. But yeah, getting in London, we fly over Wembley. I was like, this is meant to be. I'm getting a little taste, a little look at Wembley. No one else got to see that the day before, but I did. And I started to get my head around it. And I was like, right, got the hotel before everyone. And literally, again, wasn't with anyone, didn't eat with any of the boys. People were, it was quite funny. I had like all the staff. I'm like sending my food order in from the buffet and they're putting it all on plates and bringing it to my room. I felt like the most, I felt so stupid doing that. I hate
Sounds like
people
Ronaldo.
doing things for me. I just hate when people do things for me like that. I didn't like it, but everyone went above and beyond. And yeah, the first time I really saw all the boys and probably sat down with everyone was pre-match going to Wembley. So I hadn't been in any of the meetings, nothing, just turned up. Obviously, I'd done my prep. We have apps like Cold Huddle where you can watch clips on people and I guess watch the plan for games. And the gaffer went through it with me, and he makes it really clear and very precise to understand what's expected. And I think I knew that. I'd worked with him, long enough to know what he expected from me and what the game plan would be. So just go out there, perform and do your thing. And by Saturday, I'll be honest, I completely forgot that I was ill. Like I was that focused on it. I was drained afterwards, but what a day. What a day.
How close did you have to to the game? Did you have to prove your fitness, or when did they tick off and say you're definitely starting?
When I told the gaffer like I'll be fine. Like on Thursday when I was feeling like crap, and he was just like, "Yeah, I know you will." And if you're not, stiff shit.
Yeah. If you're not,
but,
were you wearing white shorts? Hopefully, it wasn't white shorts, was it?
Nah. Oh, thank God they were black.
Yeah.
But no, it was. There was no doubt in my mind that anything was going to kick me out. Even if the game was on that Thursday, I would have done something and been out there. You work too hard to miss out on moments like that, even if it meant throwing up and a few dodgy runs in the dressing room during the game or whatever. But no, the club made it as best as possible for me to be able to go out there and perform and have a memorable day. My wife was there, and obviously we couldn't have our little girl there because of Wembley rules. You couldn't have young kids at the game, and my mum and dad flew over for it. So we had some really close friends, Faith, Johnny, and their daughter Eva come. Who was old enough to come. So it was great to have all them there and experience that day with them. It was special.
Was there an interaction at all with any specific fan or fans after that win that you might have a story that like you now go, even though I know you're playing for Rotherham now, you look back and you go, wow, like that you didn't realize how much it meant to someone until you maybe it was tears, maybe it was Bailey. I've been, mate, I've waited so long for this. Was there maybe it might not have been on the day, it might have been after, was there an interaction in the street even that maybe someone came up to you and you just went, fuck, like it's amazing that I was able to do that, make someone just make their decade, like make them so happy.
Yeah. Do you know what? The people you noticed it with was the people in the club that have been through it all. And football, the environment's always changing. The players, staff, coaching staff, many of the staff had changed, but there was so many there that had been in the club for so long. Our dinner lady Joycey, like every day, every weekend, she'd be wishing you luck. She was desperate for us to win. So to be able to see the smile on her face and knowing that everyone had a great summer knowing that we all achieved, and it's not just the players and the coaching staff. There's, the staff throughout the club achieved the goals that we all set out to. When you come to the club, you want to experience them days, and everyone plays their part, little by little across the whole building. They're the ones that live with you, that you've, for example, you look for certain moments, and I guess it's kind of a collective. When I've gone on loan to Rotherham, I had so many nice messages from Sunderland fans, and I reckon 90% of them said thank you for one of the best days of our life at Wembley. So you're like, well, like that means a lot to you as a player. You're like, well, I've just give someone a pretty incredible day for their family. There's some incredible photos that kick about of fans with, dads and their kids, or granddads and their kids, and grandparents and their kids, or partners, or with a random fan just embracing the moment. I had a lot of messages before Wembley, people sending me their Aussie get up for the game, and I didn't reply to any of them, although I wanted to. I was just like, nah, I'm just focusing on the game. Had a lot of people twittering and Instagram, and then I obviously not made an effort. I couldn't miss it because there was kangaroos and flags and the hats everywhere, and I was just like, God, this is incredible. Like, there was flocks of them all over the stadium, and I was like, these are mental. Like, that this moment will live in me forever. So it was, I guess there's not one particular moment, but throughout that summer, you just know that everyone had a spring in their step across the whole of Sunderland, staff, players, fans, everyone. And when you experience a summer and go into a season, and obviously the boys are flying now and having a good season as well, so that momentum carries, and I hope it continues for the club, because it's a special club.
How did the celebrations compare to the Preston one? Obviously, this time you're a father of two, so maybe a little bit different. But yeah, how were the celebrations?
Yeah, Preston was a funny one because we didn't organise anything for that, because we jinxed ourselves and missed out on automatic promotions, and but it was still an incredible occasion. And then with Sunderland, we said, win or lose, we're all going back to a hotel and we'll all have dinner together. Family and friends are welcome. So obviously when you win, you're buzzing. We're going back to the hotel. We've got the trophy. Everyone's friends and family are there. There's drink, there's food. The club have put everything on for everyone. And we're all staying at the hotel. And it was just awesome just seeing everyone in with their friends and family that obviously, some you've met, some you haven't met. There's various different family members. You get to meet them all, and everyone's just pure love fest. Everyone's just so happy for each other, and just everyone's buzzing to enjoy the day they've just experienced. And then we all went out together, and Alex was really heavily pregnant with Tia, who's now been born. But so she come out and we went out, and we actually went home quite early. She was feeling uncomfortable, as you do when you're really heavily pregnant, and Tia wasn't far off. So we had a few boys stayed out and partied hard, and staff and players, everyone was in the club together. We went back, and I just remember we drove back to Sunderland the next day, back to Durham, and just sitting in the back of the car, just drinking a few beers. My old man roped Alex into driving, which was great. I sit in the back and just relaxed all the way back, and just thought, oh, what next?
Wow.
What next?
Yeah.
And it literally was that, like, enjoyed the moment, and you just wish it could last forever. And then you kind of want it again. And I got that with Australia. I got another taste of a special few games, which was, if I'd have said to you boys probably in January when you boys were over, I saw everything happening in front of me the way it did, I probably wouldn't have believed it, if I'm honest. But that's the beauty of football. You work away, and you never know when your rewards might come.
Yeah.
And it was, it all sort of kick-started with that, and continued for the year.
Well, that's probably a great little segue into the next big thing, which is obviously, going to the World Cup, which was just insane. And then I'm just picturing you and your dad sitting in the back seat. I'm just picturing that vision of your dad when you got those minutes against Denmark. And I think there was some vision on the Socceroo socials, and he was just like, he finally got his minutes, like he finally got his time. And even for me, I was like, Yes, like, and we'll share a couple of stories too, because it was massive here in Australia, as you know, and as you saw, like it was insane. We had a very big night on one of the, I think it was the which game was it?
Tunisia, I think. Yeah.
Tunisia, when they won 1-0,
Yeah.
when you guys won 1-0. But
So Fed
mate,
Square was rocking.
oh, it was going nuts. But maybe before we get into the actual, getting over to Qatar and being a part of it, the actual the news and the announcement of making the squad. I remember like it's tight for spots. You missed out on the last one in 2018, which we spoke about when you weren't here last time. So the idea of you missing out again would have been just gut wrenching, and you got in. So I'd love to hear how you found out. Was it guaranteed? Was it not? Was Arnie, did he call you? What was it?
Yeah, I think I've been in and out of the sort of qualifying campaign, and I guess I'd always, the run of Sunderland obviously helped me massively. And I was playing good football. I was part of a big club who achieved success. And I guess Arnie saw that. He knew me as a person. He knew what I was like. And obviously it helps when you're playing week in, week out and doing well. So when he gave me the opportunity to play in those qualifiers, I played all three in June. And obviously the big one against Peru. So kind of give me added confidence and an opportunity to show what I could do and what I could bring to the table. I guess it was my chance really. And I know football changes quickly, and that doesn't guarantee you anything. But I felt like I'd really shown what I was about. And then it was more a case of just focusing on club football to perform and give yourself the best chance for a call up for the World Cup. And my wife was due. We were due to have our second baby, Tia, the same time we had the 2 games against New Zealand. So I'd spoke to Arnie a lot around that, and he was brilliant. He knew how important it was for me to be here for my wife, and here for the birth of our baby girl. He was like, "Look, if your baby comes and it works well, we'll fly you straight out. I want you to be here. You're an important part of these plans, and we'd love, to have you here and play at least in one of these games. But again, if it doesn't work out, family first, especially when, you're having a kid, and it's a special moment." So I can't thank Arnie enough for being understanding about that. And, my wife, Tia, ended up coming a little bit late, and there was no chance I could fly out there and play. And we had, obviously, Alex's mum wasn't well as well at the time, and unfortunately she's passed. And she passed whilst at the World Cup. So that was a tough period, and she was going through a lot as well. So it was important to be there for her and the girls, and Arnie knew that and was completely, understanding of the situation. So, like I said, I thank him for that, when I know, and many other people probably wouldn't be as understanding, would probably just look at it as, whatever. But Arnie's, a good bloke, and that will always remember that. But I knew there was no guarantees in getting called up to the squad for the World Cup. I knew there was some bloody good competition, some really good players all over that pitch. I don't think anyone was like super confident going to the squad, and I certainly wasn't after experiencing what I experienced. I guess missing out on Russia. I remember, I guess, the polar opposites of emotions of Russia. I sat there in Mykonos, doing my yoga every day, training to be ready to go to the World Cup, trying to get a little bit of a break beforehand. And I remember the day the squad was meant to get announced, although I thought I would have got told, I was sat there and didn't want to leave the villa until I knew what we were, leave our hotel until I knew what we were doing. And I remember saying to my wife, I was like, "Oh, I'm not." I thought we were meant to get told at like 10 a.m. this morning about the call up, and I was like, "I'll just wait. Maybe they're just getting around to letting everyone know, and we'll say whether you're in or not." And the message never come. And I was a bit like, maybe I've got the date wrong. So I messaged Joel Freem, who was the team's general manager and organised everything, and messaged him saying, "Hey mate, what time's the squad get announced?" Like, to us personally, before it gets publicly announced. And then my phone rang like 5 minutes later from Joel, And I remember answering it, and he's like, slight quiver and nervous voice, not himself. And I'm thinking, this don't seem right. And he's like, look, mate, I'm gutted to have to tell you this news. Really didn't want to have to tell you this, but you're not in the squad. I didn't even make 30-man squad, and that shocked me. Thought I would at least make that, be part of the training camp, especially because I played a lot of football, but doesn't guarantee you anything. New manager come in and had his own idea, so that devastated me. So I guess this time I was sat on the sofa with Alex, and my phone was sat between us, and then ping, message comes up, and I'm like, that's the message. And she's like, can I read it to you? I was like, go on.
No.
So she read it, and yeah, obviously it was me being selected for the squad. It was obviously a much longer message than just that, but just overwhelming joy and relief and satisfaction and just sense of, right, here we go, like time to work. Let's go do something here. And then Arnie called me, and we had a really good chat. And he was, yeah, obviously just being typical Arnie, just buzzing for me, telling us about the plans and how we'll straight away we're going to go do something special here, better than any other Australian team's ever done before the World Cup. And that message wasn't just sent from the phone. He'd been sending that message to us for 4 years. We'd done so much work on team culture and togetherness and work ethic and what it means to be a Socceroo and what it means to, be in this room with these people. And he just reinforced that message, reinforced, where it was like so ingrained and just in us. Where you knew every time it was like one big family, but you knew what we were there to do. So to go and do what we did and be part of that was just, yeah, crazy. Better than any Australian team's ever done before a World Cup.
Yeah.
I only played 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but like lived every moment of it like it was, going to be my last. I think we all did. And we just the buzz you felt for each other, for families, for the country, like seeing the scenes at Fed Square, like seeing us do that to Australia, like geezer from Langwarrin being part of that was just, sometimes you got to pinch yourself and really take in what you achieve, but then it's short-lived, it goes, it moves on, and it's history.
Well, it blew us all away.
It was incredibly part of it.
Sitting when he came on.
Well, we were sitting there we'll never forget this, and I think I sent you a message too. We were sitting in our lounge room,
just us two,
and it was what, 6 a.m. when that game, or was it even earlier?
I think Denmark was early. I think Denmark was like 2. I think Denmark might have been 2 a.m. Australian time.
Yeah, it was early, and we were sitting there and we're watching the game. And obviously, when Australia scored, we went ballistic, we were screaming and shouting. But I think it raised another level when when B Wright got announced to come onto the pitch. We went nuts, and I said, I think we've told the neighbours they think we're 2-1 up.
Is that why he's got kicked out of the apartment?
Yeah, I think so, mate.
That might be why, mate.
Mate,
we were so excited. Tell us about that moment, like for you. How much time did you get to prepare? Was it a little plan prior to the game that you may come on, or but yeah, talk to us about that moment when you got your minutes.
Yeah, no, I think it's like anytime you're on the bench, you got to be ready to come on, and I'm always ready. If it meant click of the fingers and manager wants you on, I'm kitted and ready to go. And I was warming up for a little while, actually. I was warming up when Lex scored the goal. And it was, at the time, Arnie's sort of saying, keep warm, get warm. I'm sure that once we scored, or even before we scored, even a draw might have been enough. But then other result, I think Tunisia started beating Japan, and it was like we needed to win. And all these whispers on the sideline, and Miloš gets a message, and he tells the boys, he's like, Tunisia are beating France, we've got to win this. And then we scored. I'm thinking, right, I could come on here and maybe just throw another body in defence and see this result out. So I just stayed warm, stayed out there. And then I look up and I'm getting the nod, like, come on, you're coming on. And they just brought on, they brought on a bit of firepower, and they're a big striker. And it was like, right, come on. And I remember Arnie's like, obviously you get given all your set piece rules and where you're meant to be and your jobs and stuff like that. And I already knew all that. I'd read all that before the game, so I was ready to go. And then Arnie just went, please, just please. Please. And I was like, no pressure, Arnie.
That sounds like something we would say.
Yeah.
That's the head coach of Australia just pleading with Bailey Wright saying, please keep a clean sheet.
Yeah, and that was all I was thinking in my head. I was like, please, Barry, just do this job when you come on. I'll send it to myself. So, Arnie lived and breathed it. He shows his passion and
I love that.
he's incredible. And I'd run through a brick wall to get out on that pitch and do it for him, and he'd give me the chance. So there's no way I was not, I was making sure I played my part. And it's always difficult sometimes trying to pick up the speed of a game, but you're at a World Cup. I don't think you can get much more motivation or energy than what that gives you. And we always fed off each other. Arnie always talks about energy in the group and what we can bring each other with our enthusiasm, our personalities, our togetherness. And that's really what we were. We just had so much energy. Boys were churning out game after game with very little recovery against some of the best players in the world at the biggest tournament in the world. To be able to do that physically is incredible. And the likes of there's a few boys there I could highlight, but Harry Suter, mate, what he did at that World Cup after the injury and rehab he'd been through to get there, like, incredible, mate, to go back to back to back and play all them games and be out of football for so long. I don't know if people can quite really understand how incredible that is. And obviously he's got his move now into the Premier League with Leicester. So you share those journeys, all them boys, and we all, like, I know if it had been me on the pitch, he would have wanted me to do well. Like, he was there when we beat Peru, and he was, laying out the kit for us before the game to go and play because he just wanted to be part of it. So then to see him out there doing that, like, that's just one example of what the group was all about. That's like just good bloke mentality. Want to see each other do well. You do well for your mate. They do well for you. That's literally like that mateship and that togetherness from staff and players. That kind of just bundles all that up just there. And to get on that pitch, and I'd been to 2014 World Cup and didn't get on, but it was an incredible experience to then go one step further and get out on that pitch. I've got a really good photo as well and I actually got sent this photo just randomly from, I think it was a fan on Instagram who'd taken a photo behind my mum and dad. So they're looking at me going on. So they see them with my name on the back of their shirts and the number. And then in the distance is me getting subbed on. And the photos, like, I've not even shared the photo. Like,
I've seen it, mate. Yeah.
Just randomly got sent it on Instagram. I was like, what a photo. Like, thank you to that person, because, like, it's one of the best photos. And that means a lot to obviously have them there. And unfortunately, like I said, Alex was, it was tough. There was a bit of a disappointing moment after that. Well, very, very sad time after the game when, we later found out, I sort of found out after the game, after we had the highs in the dressing room of, being the DJ and playing all the music, to then having the message come through from my wife shortly after that her mum was unresponsive now, and unfortunately she passed that night. So yeah, it was a sad day to know that I couldn't be there and support her and the girls and her family. I was sort of over here, over in Qatar, just living my childhood dream, but it come at a real sacrifice. And I guess she made that possible, and it wasn't easy, but getting on that pitch was incredible. And I know deep down her mum knew that I'd made my debut at the World Cup, so I'll always remember that as well.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, when that all happened as well, I can't imagine the bittersweetness of it. And not knowing you, mate, the caring and giving person, selfless person you are, like, the first thing you want to do is probably just fly back and be with Alex. But knowing Alex, she's the complete opposite. Just know I'm okay. Like, I can only imagine that's what she would have said to you, is that you are where you're meant to be.
Yeah, no, she knew how much it meant to me to be there. And look, it wasn't easy. She's a tough cookie. She still does have a lot going on, but she had a lot going on. And I guess when you're a footballer, it sounds terrible, but you have to be, I guess, in many ways, selfish. And I guess my selfish, kills you to say it many ways, but I guess my childhood dream was to go to World Cup. And I'd hoped that her mum could obviously have been around with us a lot longer. Unfortunately, she wasn't. And and I wasn't there, and I have to live with that, which is tricky. But yeah, I know she wanted me to live my dream and be part of that, and it meant a lot to her and her, her family and everyone, and yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have been there, but unfortunately, yeah, I wasn't. So it's, like I said, it's something that I'll always it'll I think I'll always think what was the right or wrong thing to do. That's natural to think that in any situation. It's never easy to get that decision right. But yeah, it was overall obviously the highs of playing the World Cup, and those lows of Alex's mum passing, which was not nice for the family. She was an incredible lady, and would have been nice there to send my love. But I think deep down she knew that I was thinking about her.
Yeah.
Well said, mate. It's I can't imagine how tough that would be on the back of something you've worked for your entire life, and probably one of the biggest highs of your life to maybe one of the lowest lows. Yeah, it's amazing, mate. I want Dos to share a story about the World Cup towards it. Well, we're getting close to the end of this podcast anyway, and that will hopefully put a smile on your face. But I just want to quickly ask one more question about Qatar itself. What did you think of the setup of it all as a player? Because we hear a lot of rumors over here that some players are loving it, and from the Australian camp it sounded like everybody bought right in, and other teams perhaps not. What did you think of the whole that part of the world for a World Cup?
Yeah, I think Qatar is always I guess evolving and trying to improve on things they need to improve on, which I think we've said a lot about in statements that we made as a group. But in terms of the tournament and the hospitality we received, we played a lot of our qualifying campaign in Qatar, and they really made us feel welcome and looked after us really well, and kind of become our second home. So we knew what it was like playing in the heat. We knew what a lot of the grounds were like, training grounds and stadiums. So I guess we kind of said, look, this is our second home. We're having a World Cup at our second home. We'd played there that many times, and we were really spoiled, as you are when you represent your country. The World Cup, you get the best of the best, and the Aspire Academy was where we were set up. We literally looked outside our, we had little apartment rooms, and I shared with Keanu Bacchus, who was great to meet him for the first time and share the journey he went on. There was incredible, a young lad kind of around it for, I guess, his second camp, I think it was. So to see him going, it kind of reminded me of the 2014 World Cup in many ways, except he got on and played loads of games and did incredible. So it was cool to see that, but the facilities we had were just class. Like, pitches were just there. We had games rooms. We had food was all we had our chef Vinny come over, and he's just awesome, legend, absolute legend.
Coffee.
Yeah, we had a little cafe set up, and coffee was incredible. We were really just trying to make it a home for us, and yeah, I guess you have all them great facilities, but we had some great people, great staff, a lot of people in the background doing so much work to make our lives easier on the pitch. And yeah, I guess that's always the Aussie setup. People go above and beyond to do what they can. Everyone wants to be in that environment and knows how special it is to be there, from players to staff to anyone that gets a feel of the environment. It's special. It's so good to be around. You can see when young lads come in, they feel included, they feel part of it. And senior boys or anyone who's been part of it wants to be part of it more and more. So no, I thought the stadiums were really good. The setup, my mum and dad really enjoyed visiting and being part of the World Cup, and had nothing but, I guess, positive words to say. I think there was a lot of unfinished buildings and maybe hotels or apartment buildings that people stayed in because so much was getting built in so little time. And I guess obviously there's criticisms that can come from anything, but from our point of view, it was a successful tournament.
What part did Timmy Cahill play in that? Because I know he's over there, and listening to the news, it sounded like he had a bit to do with the boys getting looked after the way they did. What was his involvement? Did he have any involvement? I saw he was at the, within the camp for a couple of days training. What was his involvement?
Yeah, he was. If I don't know how you'd put an exact title on it, but I guess Timmy was like just Timmy. He was there every day. He was like he still had his boots on in many ways. He's around lads when when maybe they needed a little bit of advice or an arm around them. He was there helping staff. He was there in the background making sure things were running smoothly. He then had his boots on and would join in training and still be like the Timmy of old, who's just a competitor. Someone who sets high standards. So he kind of had this role that, I don't know if you could just pinpoint it, but he kind of made it feel like a relaxed environment. He'd been there, done it, and just kind of took the pressure off in a weird way of not forgetting you're at a World Cup, but just remembering it's your job, is you're doing what you're doing, and you do that, and then you'll perform. And sometimes it's just relieving that pressure of just a calm presence around the place, whether that be on the pitch, whether that be logistics of behind the scenes stuff we don't see. Where he organised, I think it was him that organised some recovery facilities that, obviously he's got a big role in Qatar and at the Aspire Academy as chief sports officer there, which is an incredible gig. And he really does know everyone there. And I think, obviously having that connection, he made sure we were well looked after. We had, recovery pools and use of facilities. We had the Aspire Academy, which I'm sure a lot of that wouldn't have been possible without his contacts, without him. And ultimately, he's just doing it because he wants what's best for Australian football. So, obviously, great person, absolute legend of the game, and always will be. But he's obviously still doing a lot of work for the game when a lot probably don't notice. So, credit to him, and I think it was a great person to have around the place and share his experiences and leadership skills with not only young lads but our senior boys as well, that I guess have been around the block too.
Just quickly, all 4 games, it just seemed like when you saw the vision, the boys in the locker room, you mentioned culture. It just seemed like they were just more together than anything we've ever seen. The Socceroos, lineup, both, the whole squad, everyone just seemed on a mission. And seeing the vision of Arnie, and he's walking within the circle and he's speaking, he's using specific words, and like we make it out of the group stage for the first time since 2006, and we play Argentina, who end up going to win. Can you speak on just that experience and the enormity of it, and how you guys prepared for that specific game? Because really, it went to the wire. We really should have equalized, and probably should have went to extra time, because that last 10 minutes was just so chaotic. I know you didn't get on the pitch, but can you talk us through the preparation of that game and how did Arnie treat it? Like, did he speak like we're playing Argentina, or is it we're just playing the blue team? Like, it doesn't matter who it is, like how big they are, we can beat these lads.
Yeah, no, it was. I guess we kind of treated like um, every other game that we played. It was, the culture doesn't happen overnight. Culture comes from a process of a buy-in of a collective. Had Mike Conway do a lot of work with Arnie and the boys, and a lot of it, is Arnie's vision and what he wanted and what he believed we could achieve with this group. And then the next thing was getting all us to believe, and we certainly did. And like I said, that doesn't just happen overnight. That is a process that had been going on for years. And lads who have played together knew what it meant to wear that shirt, knew what it meant to be part of the group. And I guess you never know when it could be your last time to pull on that shirt, and you have to make the most of every single moment you get. And anyone who's retired from international football or football will always tell you, cherish those moments, because you really do not know when it's done, and you'll miss it. Whether you're still in coaching or not, you'll miss playing. And those words resonate, I think, when you really listen. And yeah, the preparation from Argentina was, we went into that game believing we could beat Argentina and kick on again. And it was, they were just white and blue shirts with numbers on their back. Number 10 was a pretty good player, and he was just known as number 10. And that's the way it was. And, we try to, play the game, not the occasion. And that's what we did many times. And, credit to Matty Ryan as well, obviously the skipper. And he led a lot of player-led discussions and meetings throughout the course of the World Cup and the qualifying campaign, and got boys to openly speak about, I guess, what it means and those experiences shared from boys that have been to a World Cup and have played in a World Cup. Some were there for their third World Cup, sharing their stories of what it meant to them and what regrets they maybe had from the previous ones and why they weren't going to let those things happen this time, and shared that with young lads, and then young lads shared to the group what it meant to them. So when you get a group to be open and vulnerable in front of each other like that, you connect and you get stronger and stronger. And you could really see that, some people shared their motivations, and then you could see the person alongside them sort of buy in and go, right, I care about you achieving that. I'm going to go dig for you, versa. And that was really happening in the group. And like I said, a lot of it was, Arnie's vision and led from top down. But, don't know if he gets much credit. Well, I think he does get a lot of credit, but I think, it can be, people from the outside don't see those things that Matty did a lot of the time to bring the group together. And, I think, don't know if he's been a captain before at his clubs, but, it certainly suited him. And I just think he went from strength to strength to continue to grow. And you could see he had the respect, and the group really, wanted to listen to what he had to say, and he wanted what was best for the group and for himself. And it's good when you got good leaders like that. I was always learning. I think a good leadership group of boys that complemented each other, that had Matty's back, and push each other and looked after certain different things, whether that happened naturally or by design. Kind of a testament to the group and the culture we'd instilled, that we're Aussies, most of the time we're pretty good blokes that are hard working and want what's best for each other. And I guess we just amplified that and really took it on to another level.
Surely, just for half a second, though, you said obviously number 10 was a pretty decent player. You could play a little bit of football, but, and I understand the mentality, and I totally believe you. And I know everybody would have bought in, but surely for half a second, when he's standing right in front of you or he runs past, you just have a quick glimpse and just a bit of an out of body experience. Did that happen?
Yeah.
Did you look at him and go, holy shit, like he's on the pitch right there in front of me?
Yeah, of course you do, like you do that with some of the French boys, and you just, like, some of the stuff they do, you admire it and you go, that's why they're world class. And it's what we all want to be, right? That's the dream as a kid, is to be Messi, to be Ronaldo. If you fall short, I guess, it's not too bad if you fall short, because it's a good target to have, because they're incredible. And I guess for, even I didn't play, but just to see him in the flesh, and obviously he scored against us, which, infuriates you, because, you really want to be the ones to stop him. But, if you wanted anyone to win that World Cup, I think, really, from a football fan and lover point of view, you want to see Messi win the World Cup. So, the rest of the world can thank us for giving him that opportunity one day.
Well, mate,
I just know Messi will always remember that we give him the pathway to go to the World Cup one day and win the World Cup. But no, it's moments like that you cherish, when people say, who's the best player you played against, or who you've seen in the flesh. Like, boys did really well against him. And I think they really nullified him in that game. So it just shows that we're a really good team. And, who knows, maybe one day we'll be producing our own Messi. It'll be great for Aussie football.
That's it. Well, mate, we've taken up a lot of your time. We really appreciate it. It's been actually over 100 episodes since you last joined us. Can you believe? So
wow,
it's been a lot. But I'll quickly just very
I
briefly.
don't know if I want to share it. What are we talking about? The story?
Yeah, that could have been the reason why we got kicked out.
Do you want me to share it?
Yeah, just briefly, very brief version.
Well, the Tunisia game, first game, Bailey, you know how much I love it. I love the Socceroos or any football. I love it. But that first game, we haven't won a game since 2006. It was massive, to the point where, is he still with us? You there, mate? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, got you.
To the point where I had to have all the boys together. So I made a bit of a Facebook event. I said, lads, this is a big deal for me. Can we all get together? So about 15 lads, we all went to the pub just up the road from our place. And it was great. Everyone was in this. I made everyone wear a scarf. I made everyone get the colours on, didn't I?
There was a lot of number 8s, I must say.
Yeah, and I just said, a few of the jerseys you've given me, we all had them on. And, we're all at the pub and having a few pints, many pints. And then we win. We decide to go out. So we go out, and it's a big night. Like, it's probably one of the biggest nights I've had in a long, long time. I'm not a massive drinker, So to go out and do that, it was big. So we get home around 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. And then the next day I had a family Christmas. So somehow I'm at this family Christmas. My girlfriend picked me up. We went, got a call from one of my mates who stayed at our house. And he said, "Hey, mate, do you remember last night at all?" I was like, "Not really." And he just said, "Well, you don't remember like waking up in the morning and what happened?" I said, "Nah." So this might be the reason why we got kicked out. Um, he goes, "We were sleeping in the lounge room and I just heard this like, psss, and apparently I'd walked out like completely like Starkus and I'm just weeing all over the lounge room floor, like all
Oh
over the
no.
carpet, like just blasé. And then they woke up, they're like, "Dos, dos, dos." And then I don't remember it at all. And then the funniest bit about it is D that whole next day, he vacuumed that whole lounge room floor barefoot and was standing in the dampness and didn't know.
No idea, because I put him to bed that night. He doesn't remember it, but we literally had, I can't remember who was playing. I think, well, it doesn't matter who was playing, but we were watching the football and Dosh was asleep. There was sausage rolls.
France and someone.
Yeah.
That group. Yeah.
It was Denmark, France,
Denmark,
I think.
France.
And he shoved sausage rolls into the ground, like party pies everywhere. So I put him to bed and the next day cleaned up. And then I cleaned the house thoroughly and I come back the next day and he's on his hands and knees with like carpet, like cleaner. And I'm like, "What are you doing, mate?" And he goes, "You don't know, do you?" And I said, "No, what are you on about?" And then obviously I heard that story,
Yeah.
but
And then we got kicked out.
we got kicked out.
Yeah.
But, mate,
Oh,
thank you so much. We know, still you're in the middle of a season right now. You're in a hotel room. You're playing against the greatest team in the championship in a couple of days. So, so go easy on them, mate. Need a point or two or three.
Yeah.
But yeah, really appreciate you, mate. You've everything you did for us when we were in England.
Yeah.
It was an honor for us to spend time with you, and you looked after us so well. And yeah, mate, we just appreciate it.
We love it. We'll be back very, very soon.
yeah, let us know when you boys fancy another game.
All right.
I'll cook you a nice dinner again. Or maybe take you for fish and chips.
Yeah, I didn't mind the fish and chips with the peas. It was different, but I liked it.
We're in
Yeah.
Yorkshire now, so you have to proper Yorkshire pudding.
Yorkshire pudding. Yeah. Oh, thanks, mate. It's been great.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
You too, Bales.